Hello and welcome back to the Listening to Your Gut podcast. This has been a long time coming, and I'm so glad. It's like third time's the charm. Here we are. I've got Cath and Lar with us here, co-founders of Semaine, which is, you've heard me talk about it multiple times, but I'm going to talk about it even more and more and more until you're sick of hearing it, or maybe not. But this incredible supplement company and these two incredible women, plus Matt, we got to bring Matt into the equation. They are just phenomenal. I mean, we were just talking off the recording together, and I just told both of these incredible ladies that this supplement line is phenomenal. I mean, there are not enough words to describe it, but what these supplements do, they actually say what they do. Like, they do what they say they're going to do. And I mean, I've been on the PMS support supplement, which we'll get through all of them today, but that has changed my life period wise. And I recommend it far and wide to everybody who asks me, like, what should I do to help my period? Semaine's PMS support. That's what you need to be doing. Yes. So that was long-winded, but welcome to the podcast, Cath and Lar.
Thank you so much for having us, Kelly. We're so excited to be here. And yes, third time's the charm. I'm so glad this worked out.
Yes, we finally made it work. We got it. We're doing it. So yay. I let's just start off with, like, I think both of your journeys, your health journeys, are fascinating, but it also is what led you to create this supplement line. So I would love, if you wouldn't mind, for you to both share your health journeys and just really how that sparked the creation of Semaine.
Yes, absolutely. We love sharing our health journeys because I think when Cath and I were going through them, sort of like the peak of it was in our very late 20s, early 30s. We felt really alone, even though we are identical twin sisters, we have each other. It's still like, even growing up with super painful periods in the same household with a mom who had painful periods, it was still not something we discussed very much or particularly openly,
No,
which
I
is
think we
always really
kind of like
interesting.
normalized it in our own
Mhm.
little insular
Yeah,
household. I think we were
I
like,
think
yes,
that's
this is being
true.
a woman.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really where it started. Kath and I both had super painful periods basically from the get-go, and our mom always had painful periods, so we thought, okay, that's normal. Pain is normal. When we talked to gynecologists, we went on birth control fairly early for period pain because they said that's what you do. You just keep taking the ibuprofen or Tylenol or whatever you need and get on birth control. So that's what we did. And I think because we normalized that pain through our 20s, our and I'm speaking as a we, I often do that because we're twins, but Kath and I we've had slightly different human experiences, even though we share the same DNA. In our 20s, our periods started getting much more painful. For me personally, I remember it went beyond horrific cramping, which was like I had really bad cramping with super heavy flow. Um, I started to feel like a sharp jabbing feeling in my pelvis. And that was the first time I was like, okay, body, I'm listening because this does not feel good. This feels wrong. I would tell my gynecologist about it, and they'd be like, yeah, painful periods really suck. And they'd be like, yeah, pelvic pain is just kind of normal. Just keep taking that ibuprofen, stay on birth control. So that's what I did. And in my late 20s, so I was like 28, 29, my husband, Matt, and we moved over to Scotland he was working at the University of Edinburgh and I was working in an ad agency. And while I was there, I didn't know what it was at the time, but I had what was called an endometrioma rupture on my left ovary. So cysts are fairly normal for women. A lot of us get cysts or what are called functional cysts that sort of resolve on their own. With endometriosis, which is what Kath and I were diagnosed with when we turned 30. Happy birthday. Um, Basically, with endo, especially if you have what's called deep infiltrating endometriosis, like I do, it can basically grow on your ovary and it creates sort of a benign tumor. And it's not something that will just resolve itself. You have to have it surgically removed or it can rupture like it did for me. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. It was extremely excruciatingly painful. But the only upside to that is I was finally formally diagnosed with endometriosis. Endometriosis often takes about 7 to 10 years to diagnose on average, but women of color, that's usually 10 to 15 years. And so for us, it did take a while. I think because it was so normalized in our family, like we had the kind of pain where at times I think we should have been going to the hospital and we weren't. I mean, I just couldn't move out of the fetal position or we'd pass out, like just excruciating pain. But because I think women's pain is so often taught culturally, we're just sort of inculcated into this idea that women will experience pain in their life, whether it's periods or birth or going through menopause. That is just part of what we should experience. And we've normalized that and made it seem like there's nothing we can do about it. You basically just have to suck it up. When if you think about it, there are so many pills out there for erectile dysfunction, so many things out there for men who feel discomfort. But if they were in this level of pain, we would have solved all of this long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think for me, obviously, I think part of the pain too, Laura, is living in the patriarchy. You didn't mention that, but I know you totally agree with that.
Basically
That's
said it.
become normalized. Um, but I think I still remember like being in my teens and 20s and seeing other women who like might have had bad cramps, or they would tell me they were on their period, and I was like, they're walking upright and they are like getting out of bed, and I was like, well, that's what I got to do too. So I totally thought that was normal until it was really Laura. Between the two of us, she was the one who self-diagnosed. She was the one who went through that horrific experience, and then from there she was the one who found the expert surgeon in Atlanta for endometriosis. She had surgery a year later. I had surgery. So we've both been very, very, very lucky and privileged to be able to get that kind of surgery, because it's always out of pocket, it's always out of network. But even given all that, since there's no quote unquote cure, we still have period pain, which is what led us to create the PMS and period support. And I say us because we were really just the guinea pigs. It was Lauren's husband, Matt, who's a scientist. He was the one who created the formulation.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Kelly, I still appreciate that Matt shout out in the intro. Kath and I always get to do the podcast because Matt's an introvert, doesn't want to really chat about it. If you get him talking about science, though, he will not stop. You
Oh,
would
I
have a
know.
3 hour long episode.
I've seen some IG lives. Oh, I know. He loves.
Yeah.
He loves that.
Yes, he does.
Exactly. And he was actually like how it started. He was with me on this journey. Basically, we got married in our late 20s. So he was with me during like the worst of it. He was in and out of the hospital with me. And he was like, we are going to solve this for you. And at the time with endometriosis, we were trying to fix it. Well, I was trying to fix it with diet. Cass was like, we're not doing that. But I was like, okay, I'm going to cure myself. I don't need to do anything. I don't need surgery. I was scared of surgery. So I like became vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free, did all the things, cut all the things out because I was like, this is how I'm going to control the pain. At that point, I think my endo was so sort of like it had taken on my ovaries and tied it behind my uterus. Like it was to the point where I absolutely needed surgery. Nothing else would kind of heal that. But and it didn't really touch my pain. But the endo diet has helped a lot of people. We know endometriosis is an inflammatory disease, and so doing an anti-inflammatory diet can be super helpful. What it did help with, Kath and I have now figured out we both have IBS as well, which is often a comorbidity with endometriosis. Because when you have a lot of scar tissue and stuff around your intestines are not going to be super happy. And so I found that doing an anti-inflammatory diet, a plant-based diet, was really helpful for my gastric issues, basically, or my gut issues. And so when Matt was looking into doing something for me, he was like, let's make it plant-based. There's actually some great research on plant extracts and dysmenorrhea, which is the clinical term for painful periods, and endometriosis. So let's go ahead and start there. And I was like, that is so sweet. I love vegan food. I'm plant-based makeup, plant-based everything. I think for my pain, I just need the drugs, give me the drugs. And he was like, let's just give it a try. And I was like, okay, at this point, I will try whatever you give me. Matt does have a PhD in bioengineering. At the time, he was working on faculty at the medical school at University of Washington, and they were studying aging at a cellular level and also looking at inflammation. So it kind of tied perfectly with a lot of the research he was doing. And so how Semaine started is he started mixing together anti-inflammatory ingredients like curcumin and green tea and resveratrol and quercetin, all these fun things that I've since learned about, which are great nutrients and extracts for your body. He was mixing them together in my morning smoothies. And the first month he did it, I had a pain-free period, which I was like, wait, wait, was that a fluke? This has never happened to me. And even when I was taking ibuprofen, and in the UK, you can get ibuprofen with codeine. So I was taking that every period. I never had a pain-free period. So I was like, just plants, plant-based things can actually help with pain. Like my brain was just exploding. Um, so month after month, we tested this out, and I had pain-free periods the entire, I think this was like 3 months in. And Cass was like, okay, you guys have to give me some. And that actually was the beginning. Like, I was like, right, it's not just Lauren with endometriosis. We know so many people, not just in the endo community, but so many of our friends who have painful periods who are skipping work or skipping school or just feeling lousy and having to change their life around every month or for a week out of every month. And that's how we started with the PMS and period support. This was back in 2018 is when we first started testing it. I've been now taking it for almost 6 years since we started testing it. And it is still, I still have pain-free periods. Like I still can't believe it. And Kelly, when you said it changed your periods, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
it really, really works. I totally understand people being skeptical. But because we've done our research, it's very different from other PMS or period supplements out there, which often target sort of estrogen levels, which is great. There's a lot of traditional medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine that tackles that. But we wanted to come at it from a different angle because we know everybody's different. Everybody's estrogen levels are different, especially if you have a condition like endometriosis or PCOS or fibroids. You might not want to be taking things that are estrogenic. So we really focused on inflammation and that sort of root cause of the pain a lot of people feel.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's just, again, like you said, I understand why people would be skeptical, but I will shout from the rooftops forever and ever that this truly works. I mean, it does. And I have, from the people I've recommended it to as well, I've heard nothing but good things. So like if those who are listening, who are on the fence, jump over the fence and do it because it works. It really does. And I mean, not to mention, I see your little setup there in the back, Laura, but so cute. Like the packaging is so cute. Just the eco-friendly nature of the bottles, of the what it comes in is, I mean, everything that you've put together is so super intentional with all of the products. That's just yet another reason why I love this brand. So, I mean, I would love for us to dive in, if you don't mind, to like each of the products, because you have, I believe at this point, 5, right? 5
Oh,
products.
you're so good, Kelly. Yes,
Yeah.
we have 5 products, and that
Yeah.
really we come out with a new supplement we come out with 1 to 2 new supplements a year, and those are directly based on customer feedback or potential customers who are asking us for things that they have pain points with. Obviously, not everybody has severe period pain like Cath and I do. One of the first questions we got was like, okay, I don't have terrible period pain, or now you've solved my period pain. What can you do for all my other hormonal issues? Like throughout the month, I have mood swings, my skin breaks out, I have really low energy. And we also wanted to tackle that from a different way than a lot of other sort of women's health supplements, cycle supplements tackle that. Instead of looking at estrogen and progesterone specifically, we wanted to look at all of our other hormones that actually contribute to those symptoms. So, for instance, our metabolic hormones are hugely they're the things that really sort of trigger like our energy levels, our blood sugar levels, and also what's going on with our skin. And we always think of it as like our sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those are the ones we want to blame because we always think that's what has to do with like our hormonal like feelings, but really it has to do with a lot of our other hormones as well. And so that's why we created the daily hormone balance to support our metabolic hormones and really help with those other symptoms that people are feeling. And it's something that you take daily. For instance, Cath and I also have PCOS, lucky us. So that's polycystic ovary syndrome. There's lots of different fun symptoms. You can have different types of PCOS, but one thing is our blood sugar levels are really sort of wonky. And actually, most people, even though you might not be pre-diabetic or have diabetes in your family, because of our modern lifestyles, most of us have some sort of insulin sensitivity issues. Our standard American diet is not great for that. And the stressful lives that we all lead really contribute to a lot of the sort of disconnect or the things not working correctly in our body and leading us to feel really tired or sugar crashing or having breakouts, and especially the mood swings. Like that's a really big one we hear all the time at sort of every age, whether you're a teenager or whether you're postmenopausal and 60 years old. So that was why we came out with the Daily Hormone Balance Next. That's our beautiful green bottle. And it really is kind of our flagship product because it can be used at any age. Since it doesn't correlate to your sex hormones, it's really helping your other hormones. Anybody at any age can take that.
Yeah,
and then
and
of
Laura,
course,
before you go on, I wanted to talk about the daily can also be like a multivitamin because we get that question a lot. I'm the one who's at the other end of our live chats and emails, like support at semainehealth.com. So I get that question a lot, like, okay, so I have to take the daily, and then do I take my multivitamin? And we have B complex, zinc, and there's another
magnesium.
basic magnesium in the daily, in addition to the other ingredients that help with the metabolic hormones that Laura was talking about. So you can replace your multivitamin with the daily unless there's like something specific that you really like in your multivitamin. But that's I used to take multivitamins, and I've switched it all to the daily now. Plus, I do find that it really helps for me. It's with my sugar crashes because unlike Lauren, who's very good at sticking to a mostly vegan diet, I am not. So I need help with my metabolic hormones need help on a daily basis. And so I do find it really, really helps prevent with sugar crashes. And so I'm not as hangry, I'm not as moody. And then of course it also helps with like skin and stuff like that. But that was the first thing I noticed when we took the daily.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and again, like it was all customer feedback, like what people are experiencing as pain points, that they're like, there are not enough options out there, which there aren't because we're women, so there's no options apart from suck it up, birth control, or for women who are going through menopause, go on hormone replacement therapy, which all of these things, we are big proponents of all those things. Love that birth control exists, love that HRT exists, but some of us want other options, or maybe those things don't work. One thing I learned when we were doing our PMS and period support is that 30% of people aren't actually helped by ibuprofen. Like it doesn't work for them, which is crazy to me because you think, oh, ibuprofen and Tylenol, that must work for everybody, but that's how different our bodies are. And it's like, so if you don't have that, or if you're like, for me, I took so many decades essentially of ibuprofen and NSAIDs that my stomach lining is completely shot. If you can't take those things, what are your other options for pain relief? Are there things that could support our bodies better to do that? So those were the questions we were asking when we were looking at what else we could create for women and what pain points everybody hits. And one thing, of course, we're all going to hit if we're lucky enough is menopause, which everybody's favorite thing to think about. I mean, I think it's hard because it's like, it's taboo because not only does it have to do with women's health, but it's also about aging, right? So a lot of people are like, that I just don't want to think about it till the symptoms are so bad I have to do something about it. But I think because Cath and I just turned 40 in July, and so our peer group was asking, okay, great, periods under control now with your PMS and period support. What do you have for me as I'm transitioning into like my middle years, heading into menopause? And so we came out with our Menopause Essentials, which is our blue bottle. And that does really focus on what is happening to your body as you go through perimenopause and then hit menopause. Is basically your estrogen and progesterone are going up and down like crazy. You hit menopause and your estrogen just decreases. And we always think like, oh, that means no more period, that means hot flashes. Like that's maybe the basics that we kind of know around menopause. But also that means other things like our cholesterol is more likely to go up. Blood sugar will be more of an issue. I hate to make it sound so down, like, okay, you hit menopause, you're going to have all the problems, osteoporosis, your heart is going to be an issue. Like, but I mean, there's a lot of things where it's like, if there were things you knew you could take that didn't have any side effects that could help you through the transition and also keep your body healthier as you age, why wouldn't you want to take that? So our Menopause Essentials, I like to call it our Mediterranean diet in a bottle because the ingredients are from Spain and Italy, and it's red clover, which is great as something that helps as your estrogen declines. And then we have bergamot and olive oil extract. And the bergamot is a citrus fruit that basically is a really great polyphenol and keeps your body really healthy and your cells really healthy. It also helps with your metabolism. So as estrogen decreases, we tend to gather more fat around our bellies, which is totally normal, but is the bane of so many women's existence, at least according to the comments and the questions we get all the time. What do you have for menopause weight loss? And a lot of it is that visceral fat that's sitting on your tummy. And the problem with that is nothing visual. Obviously, tummies are great Most people don't want one, but there's what is sort of scary about it is the visceral fat specifically is a more unhealthy fat than the fat, growing up, you get some on your hips or you get some on your arms or something. The visceral fat actually is a lot less healthy. So it is something we kind of want to tackle, and that bergamot is great with that. And olive oil is great for sort of, well, cardiovascular health, but also with sort of skin lubrication. So a lot of us get drier center skin. That includes vaginal tissues as well. And so that really helps with all of those issues that you can hit when you hit menopause. And another fun fact is as you get older, the chance of you getting a UTI also increases, which more fun. But again, if you're prepared, they have done studies and they have shown that like people who are prepared going through these phases of life have much fewer symptoms than people who don't, just because you're not like, am I going crazy because I have brain fog? How can I like sleep better at night? Insomnia is a huge thing with
I mean, they
menopause.
do think that's a major reason why menopause has like quote unquote gotten so bad. Our menopause, like now that we're talking about it, people are like, yeah, it's awful. A big part of that is our lifestyles and the society in which we live. I won't say patriarchy every time I talk in this podcast, but I'm gonna say it a lot. Um, and so like part of why we do Semaine is to help educate women and educate people that
Yeah.
identify as women to know that there's stuff that they can do proactively and even during it where they don't feel helpless or dismissed by a medical or societal community, and so you feel more positive about what's coming into your life versus something that you have to dread and like just hate the fact that you're a woman and have to deal with these things. And the menopause thing for us, it was like the twin of our PMS and period support, because it's like you help women through puberty and all while they're in their childbearing age, and then we want to continue to help them beyond that.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Kelly, but what Kath and I know from the years and years and years of having to go to extra OBGYN appointments for endometriosis, it's like we got way more help in our 30s because they were like, "Are you thinking about having children?" It was like once you're considered a baby maker, you do get a little extra care. People will ask a few more questions, but we found, especially like as I went past my sort of geriatric motherhood age, which is 35 and older, especially if you have endometriosis, and they realize, okay, this girl is not trying to get pregnant anymore, then this sort of interest kind of wanes. And we did find out too that I think most medical students, OBGYN students, I think you get like a day on menopause, learning about menopause, which is crazy. So most of what they're learning is obviously reproductive health, which is incredibly important. And obviously we have an issue with that in America because the maternity mortality rate is so high. But the fact that a lot of OBGYNs or just general practitioners have a hard time talking to their patients about menopause because they don't have the options, they don't have the education, even through med school, to sort of help teach them. There are like 100 symptoms that you can be experiencing that are related to menopause. It's not just hot flashes or low libido. And so, like Cath was saying, the educational component of Semaine is so important to us because I know for us, we would have had a much easier time if we had known about endometriosis when we were 15, rather than letting it get to the point where, I almost died in the hospital because of this rupture. So it is so,
And
so crucial.
continuing in that same vein, Laura, it's like with UTIs, so many women, I mean, men and women, but women especially post menopause, your chances of getting UTIs increase. And so many of them go undiagnosed until the symptoms become really extreme and you have to be hospitalized because once again women are dismissed, and especially older women are dismissed. And so we have, I know I'm kind of like letting the cat out of the bag, Laura, but our next product is the urinary tract cleanse and protect. I know you were building up to that, so sorry. That's our purple bottle for the listeners that are more visual, and we created that for that reason. So many women do have to deal with that, I mean at all ages obviously, but it definitely increases as you age. And it's been really cool talking about being preemptive about your health. We have a lot of customers like they're in their 60s and 70s and they'll email me and they'll be like, yeah, I don't get UTIs that often, but I read on your site that it's more common as you get older, so I just want to have a bottle around. I'm like so grateful that I'll have something if I feel something coming, if I feel like UTI coming on, I have something all natural to reach for. And I'm just like, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, give me 30 years and I'll be there.
Exactly. Be prepared, be proactive. Yeah, it's funny because I think with UTIs, a lot of people think, oh, that's like young 20 something college girls who are having a lot of sex and not peeing afterwards. Which it's like, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of 20 somethings that also have UTIs. That's very common, but it's way more common to get them after the age of 60 and 65. So it's just knowing that ahead of time. Like Kath was talking about those extreme symptoms. A lot of people, it's hospitalized not just for pain or for not being able to pee, but also it can show up as like almost like dementia. So a lot of much older patients, like people will think, okay, my parent has dementia, and then they go and finally get it figured out that it was actually a UTI that they've had for a year or two. So it's really important for all of us to understand our bodies and be able to know what symptoms to look out for, because that can help us, that can help our aging parents, that can help our younger children, it can help people, our friends and family too. So it's so important. Okay, and then our last product, I feel like I could just go on forever, is our our pre and probiotic that we just released this year, which is so excited about. As I mentioned before, Kath and I do have IBS. We're just lucky. We have so many things. And so for us, digestive issues and digestive health was always sort of like very, very important. Starting like back when most people weren't taking probiotics, like 20 years ago, I bought like all the refrigerated ones and tried them out because I was like, I'm going to solve this stomach issue. And I think because that's a lot of probiotic heading into my intestines, like I was always kind of sick when I took them. Like I felt really nauseated, or I felt like they made my IBS symptoms worse. And the other thing that I noticed too was obviously my my gut symptoms sort of changed around my period. So we actually started this product thinking it was going to be more specifically for digestive issues when you're PMSing and when you're on your period, and then realized, but of course you have digestive issues as you age as well, because your gut motility really decreases as you age. So we were like, no, this has to be something for everybody every day, because that's what we need as well. So it is a prebiotic, so it's got two different sources of fiber in it, a probiotic, and also includes ginger to help if anybody has acid reflux or just gets kind of nauseated when they're taking a probiotic specifically. We wanted to have like a sort of more gentle, holistic approach to gut health than just throwing like all the CFUs of probiotics into your intestines. And we have it specifically for women because it is important to keep your gut flora really healthy. There's a connection to the way your estrogen levels work as well. And also it's connected to your vaginal flora. So if you have issues in your gut, you more often are going to have vaginal flora issues. So that could lead to bacterial infections, that could lead to yeast infections. So it is really important for women, people who identify as women, who need to take something to help with populating their good gut bacteria. And I think that's it. Yes, Kelly,
That's it. You got it.
ask all the questions.
I love that. Yeah. So now, okay. Yeah. All the questions. So, I mean, first of all, to the listener, I mean, just heard all of the different products. And like you said, Laura, I feel like you've taken care of, you both said this, Laura and Kath, you've taken care of like the full spectrum of being a woman, right? Like, I mean, and I love how you're kind of like subtly mentioning that like every year you come out with a new product. So I can't even wait to see what's next after this. But a couple questions that I was thinking of was, okay, first of all, like for the woman who, let's say she feels like she's getting ready to be in perimenopause, which we know can start as early as 35, you know, when if she wants to start taking the menopause supplement, when is a good time, or what maybe signs or symptoms should she be looking for to be like, oh yeah, this is probably the time to start taking this, like let's get going?
That's such a good question because we literally just got that on one of our Facebook ads today. Somebody was like, I just turned 41, which I know is really young, but I feel like I'm in perimenopause. I was like, that's totally normal. I think that's another thing. A lot of us don't realize how young the symptoms can start. And obviously that depends on your own genetics and what you've been through. So often if you know when your mom started menopause or perimenopause, you'll probably mimic that. So that's just good stuff to know too. But absolutely, the things to look out for, especially in perimenopause, are hot flashes. They might not be as extreme. I think for most people, it probably starts with hot flashes and some night sweats. So you're waking up sweating a lot. But the big one, probably in your 30s, is going to be your periods they change. So usually they're going to be a little more irregular. Either your cycle is longer or shorter. So an average cycle, everyone always says is 28 days, but anything sort of like 10 days on either side of that, if it's getting too short or too long, is sort of an indication that you could be heading into perimenopause. And also potentially more painful periods. We have a lot of friends who are in their late 30s that said that's when things sort of switched and they never had painful periods before. And I'm like, what? But they never had painful periods before and now they do. And so I'm like, yeah, that can be an indication too that you want to start taking something. My sister-in-law, she started taking it. She's, I think, 42. And she was like, I'm getting migraines during my period, which used to never, ever happen. And so she takes the menopause for that. And for the past 6 months, she hasn't had migraines. The brain fog and the mood swings could also be indications that can happen at different times in our lives. But I heard especially women in their 40s who weren't sort of thinking about perimenopause or menopause, sometimes it's the brain fog and the mood swings that get them because, first of all, the brain fog's scary. You're like, why can't I remember basic words? And you start thinking it could be something a lot scarier than perimenopause, or the mood swings where people are like, I don't know why, I just want to like, kill my husband or kill my kids. And I don't need, there's nothing particular that they're doing to like contribute to more anger. And so we hear that a lot too. And a lot of it could be especially in perimenopause, it's not just your estrogen dropping, it's your estrogen and progesterone basically like jumping up and down. So changing a lot. So any of those symptoms, even if you're in your 30s, even if you're in post-menopause, we get that question a lot too. They're like, can I still take this even though I've gone through menopause? And absolutely, even though you've hit menopause, which is technically the day, 12 months after your last period, and post-menopause, most people still experience menopausal symptoms for another 5 to 10 years, depending. So yeah, absolutely. It's for anybody experiencing the symptoms that are related to your estrogen levels changing and then declining.
Gotcha. Okay, that's super helpful. And then just like as I was also thinking too, I mean, with each of the different products, is it okay for someone to take all of them together? Like you can combine them, right? I would assume that that would be okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly, Kelly. I'm so glad you said that because I mean that's what we do. Kath and I both take the daily and the pre and probiotic daily. And then of course the PMS and period support. I take it on my period. I also take it if like I just feel slightly inflamed or I've had a hard workout, I will take it then too, just sort of randomly throughout the month. So absolutely, especially our daily is great matched with anything else, but we match it with our PMS and period support, specifically if your cycles are irregular, you have a lot of period issues, or you have something that's called PMDD. We have so many customers who have a more extreme version of PMS, basically that happens 2 to 1 weeks before your period. And that is like the magic bullet using both the PMS and period support and the daily hormone balance. And then for women who are perimenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal, doing the daily plus the menopause essentials is perfect because the menopause essentials is helping with your sex hormones, so the estrogen, progesterone, and then the daily is really helping with your metabolic hormones, something that we need to continue to support even after menopause and during menopause. So we often have customers who are taking that bundle together. But then, of course, the pre and probiotic is perfect to sprinkle over all of those because we all need better gut health. In our UTI product, I take that if I'm feeling a little off, like with endometriosis, I'm quite prone to UTIs, but luckily I don't have like really horrible symptoms like burning, but I can just tell something's not right. Then I'll take that on top of everything and I'll take it just whenever I need it. If you're somebody who gets recurrent UTIs, that's something that you could take daily as well to help prevent another UTI.
Or you
Awesome.
can use it to treat a UTI. So if you currently have a UTI, you can take one pill every 12 hours instead of every 24. But yeah, that's one of the questions we get the most, Kelly. So that was an awesome question. Can't you like mix the products? And yes, you can. None of our products have overlapping ingredients except the PMS and period support and the daily both have magnesium. But we're all super deficient in magnesium, so you can't really overdo it. So you don't have to worry. As long as Semaine is on the bottle, you can mix your supplements.
I love that. And the other thing I was thinking too, I know the answer to this, but I would love for you to share more on this. So I know that the longer obviously you take a supplement, the better you're going to see, the more consistent results and the better you're going to feel. Like I said, after 1 month, I already felt really great with the period and PMS support, but can you talk a little bit more about the importance of consistently using the product so that you can really maximize the benefits of it?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. So, especially for like the daily, for instance, you might not feel anything. It's like a multivitamin. Maybe you don't feel anything the first couple of days, but you will definitely feel better and better month over month. We run clinical trials on all of our supplements. And for instance, the daily hormone balance and the menopause essentials, those were 2 to 3 month trials. And all of the great results we get is because month over month, patients are feeling much, much better. So, especially if it's your metabolic hormones are kind of out of whack, like we were talking about blood sugar levels or just energy levels throughout the day, that could take a little while depending on what your lifestyle is, depending how stressed out you are, depending what your diet is. Everybody can be so different. So it's really hard to predict. Like when I take the daily, if I've stopped taking it because I am not a good supplement taker, I try to be very consistent, but I am not good. Cath is the supplement taker. If I stop it and get back on it, the first thing I notice within that first week is my cravings get way less. Like I'm a snacky girl and I'm a sweet tooth. So I am constantly like eating and nibbling and need something sweet pretty much after every meal. That really helps with that. But like my energy levels, I won't necessarily notice a difference until after the first month of taking it consistently. Like you said, it's really important. What a fun fact, which is something Matt always loves to remind me about. We made the PMS and period support specifically just for PMSing and when you're on your period because I'm such an inconsistent supplement taker. So he was like, you don't have to take it all month long, Lauren. You can just take it on your period. And I was like, what? And because it helps me so much, I'm super motivated to take it. But exactly like you were saying, Kelly, people find their periods are better month over month if they're taking it consistently every single month. And I found that too. But the PMS and period support and the urinary tract cleanse and protect, those two, you will feel a difference within the first like time that you're taking it. So whether it's your first period or whether you're experiencing UTI symptoms, you should feel relief within the first time that you're taking that. So for instance, like 2 years into taking the PMS and period support, I was like, maybe I just have really good periods now. Maybe I don't need to take it anymore. And I stopped it. I don't have really good periods. They're still very painful. So like 2 days in, I was like, no, no, no. And I started taking it. And within 2 hours, I felt so much better. So 100% consistency is what you need to see the biggest results, especially like menopause essentials. That takes a while because your body needs to get used to getting some more estrogen back in your body. The daily can take a little while for some of the other symptoms to resolve, but really it's exciting too to be able to take something plant-based that works fairly well within the first couple days you're taking it, like the PMS and period support and the urinary tract cleanse and protect. But 100% getting a routine down and staying consistent, something Catherine and I think you, Kelly, are much better at than me, is super important.
Well, and it's also important because so many, we don't realize how much like stress and our diet and changes in those levels or types of diet really impact us. So I have noticed when people like start taking their supplements, they're much more in tune with their bodies. And so they might be like, oh my God, my period was worse, or oh my God, this happened. Does this usually happen to people on supplements? And usually what's happening, not all the time, but usually what's happening is people are just much more hyper aware about their bodies.
Mhm.
Or there's like, especially when it comes to period stuff, it's usually they're very, very stressed out and they don't even realize it, and it's coming out in their symptoms of their periods. So that's another reason why we try to encourage people to like keep trying it. I mean, obviously if you have an allergic reaction to an ingredient, that's one thing, but if you're not feeling the difference right away, that could also be it. And what we always say, and I know people hate hearing this because I hate hearing it, you know, supplements are supplemental to your life, to your diet. So if you're eating a lot of McDonald's, I'm not speaking from experience, guys. I really am. If you eat a lot of McDonald's, like just taking the daily is not gonna like
Right.
get rid of your hormonal acne overnight, that kind of thing. So, and most of us know that. We're adults, like we
Yep.
don't want to hear it, but we know that. And so that helps too. It doesn't mean that the supplements aren't doing anything, but try to treat your body in a way that it's not fighting against what the supplements are doing. I have to remind myself of that daily. But yeah, like all the things we're all used to hearing, movement and a healthy diet filled with vegetables and fruit
Yeah.
always helps as well. And
all
water,
the things
lots of
that
water.
Kelly talks about too, right? It's like you do have
Exactly,
to still
exactly.
like it's funny because I'm like, there's no silver bullet for anything, right? For weight loss, for feeling better. I will say the PMS and period support is my silver bullet, but other than that, there's no magical pill that's gonna help with anything without. And Kat, that's true. It's like I did change my diet, so I think if I was eating a lot more fast food, which I know can really hurt my stomach and all these things, that does make it a lot harder. And that we do want people to know that we're like a tool in their tool belt. And we love that there's other, especially women owned brands that are coming out with other options, if there are other supplements or creams or topical treatments or whatever it is. We're so glad that there's just options out there, because that's what we're looking for, creating this new space for women's health so that we don't have to feel like there is nothing we can do about what we're experiencing.
Absolutely. I love that. And okay, we could go on for hours, but I have two other questions I really want to tackle. So one of those is, can we talk about the importance of these clinical trials? I mean, there are so many. Again, I'm just going to keep pumping you guys up because you're awesome and this line is just incredible. But let's talk about how many companies don't do clinical trials and you are doing them. So can we talk about the importance of that and like just how that's showing the effectiveness of these products?
Absolutely. We love, and this is where Matt would be like, I can talk for days.
Let me do
But it was, it was so important for us to do it because of Matt's academic background, but also because we were like, okay, these work for us, but we don't want you to just have to take our word for it. We want to make sure we can be like, there's an independent third party lab that is conducting all of these trials, and we're openly sharing the results. And the reason why not all supplements do this is because you don't have to as a supplement. If you're a drug, if you're a pharmaceutical, you absolutely have to run very in-depth clinical trials. As a supplement company, you don't have to do anything. The FDA does not regulate supplements in the United States. So for us, we work with the FDA regulated faculty and facility in order to create our supplements. We also make sure that we're not making claims the FDA would be against, but essentially anybody can put whatever they want in a capsule into a bottle and sell it as a supplement. So that's something to be aware of, because it's kind of the wild west in the supplement world, which is why we really wanted to have that clinical backing. And the other thing is they're very expensive to run clinical trials, and you don't know what the results are going to be. So it doesn't behoove a lot of supplement companies to run them. And that's why we were like, we were nervous about it, but we were also like, we know these formulations are really good. We know anecdotally, at least, they're helping us. They're helping so many people that are already taking them, but let's back that up with clinical data. So we just wrapped up the Menopause Essentials trial. We did it on the daily and the PMS. So our next one up is the pre and probiotic and then the UTI. And we are so excited whenever we get the results back, because it is proving that like 95% of participants have fewer night sweats, or 86% of people taking the PMS and period support have much less pain. And that way people can really trust the science is always the background behind what we're doing. And we want people to feel good and love our packaging and want to keep it out on their counter, but also have something that actually works. Because as somebody with endometriosis, always trying to find answers, I tried a lot of things that people had on the internet, and I was just like, let's see. And of course, there were things that didn't necessarily work. And I know how discouraging it is to try and feel like you can't find something that works. So at least having those clinical trials will give people that sense of trust, or they can do their own research to feel like, okay, I'm getting the answers that I was looking for here. It isn't just something that's in a pretty bottle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we make sure to be as transparent as possible on our website, on our packaging. So we list all of our ingredients. Not a lot of supplements will have like some proprietary mixture or a proprietary blend. And they don't have to really disclose the amounts of what they have in their supplements. And we always want to make sure that's on our jars. We do have patent pendings, but still people can look at our website. And if you wanted to go out and buy all 9 ingredients that are in our PMS and period support, you absolutely could. I mean, it would be hard. It would be expensive and hard to do, but you could do that if that was what you chose to do instead. And part of that is so people feel that trust and they know that we're just trying to help them and not just try to sell like a rice pill or something like that. I know a lot of women have
Also,
tried like Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, exactly. It's like because we also get a lot of people, especially if you're older, if you're in menopause, postmenopause, getting UTIs. As you get older, you're taking more medications. It's really hard
Yeah.
to be able to have a conversation with your doctor about the supplements you're taking, but you don't really know what the dosage is or what exactly the ingredients are. So on our website, we have a section under our Learn tab that says Talk with your doctor that has our white papers that discloses ingredients, formulation, dosage, clinical trial results, so that, for instance, if you're on chemo, you can talk to your doctor about the perimenopause and together you can make an informed decision. It's really important for us that we're thinking about it as like real humans taking this that are dealing with a lot of different pain points and potentially a lot of different medications or side effects. So yeah, super, super important to us, like Cath was saying, all the transparency and all the science that we can possibly do.
Yeah, I was just going to say the transparency is like no other. I mean, it's just like you can just, I mean, hopefully I feel it, I see it because I know the two of you. I've been following you for quite some time, but I hope that the listener like hears and feels the transparency because that's what makes you feel comfortable. That's what makes you feel safe.
Mhm.
That's what makes you a lifelong customer of a brand like yours is that you feel seen, you feel heard, and you also are respected in that you know exactly what you're getting and you're not being feeling like you're being conned, right? Because you're not, because you are coming out and saying here's what's in it, like I'm showing you this is what you're getting, and I
And exactly, Kelly. And we take every single thing. Like I'm
yeah.
not taking the menopause essentials consistently, but I've taken it for a month because we're like, we are the guinea pigs. And Matt, who obviously is male and has male sex hormones, he takes everything except for our menopause essentials. Is essentially
Mhm.
anybody can take it.
Yeah,
And
we
he
do.
tests
We have quite a
everything.
few men taking our urinary tract
Wow,
product.
I
And
love
The
it.
then
daily.
recently I've had a lot more men asking about the daily, which absolutely helps because we all have the same metabolic hormones. And so a lot of men take that. And we've had guy friends take our PMS and period support for aches and pains and inflammatory issues. So
That's
it's
cool.
for all, but we focus on women because women need that focus.
Absolutely. I love that. And my last question is related to we touched on it a little bit here in this last conversation, but the website. I mean, well, first of all, Cath, you're incredible and like on the back end answering all the questions. I've
Oh,
never
thanks.
had a question to ask, but I know from hearing other people and saying like, "Oh my gosh, like just so good with the response time and just, answering the question
Yay.
like, yeah, so I
We
mean,
try. We really try.
customer service is like top notch. And I mean,
Thank
let's talk
you.
about like all the different components to your website. I mean, there's even a quiz, right? Now there's a quiz that
Uh-huh.
you can take to help you if you're like, I don't know what to take, like help me. It You've got all the bases covered. So I mean, uh, could you just share a little bit about, I guess, as we start to wrap up, share a little bit about the quiz and how that could help an individual who's like, okay, I definitely need to try these, but like I'm not sure where I need to start.
100%. That is why we have the quiz there, because I would feel the same way if I went to a website and I saw 5 bottles of different colors and was like, okay, which one do I need? I would need somebody to help me out. And so that is why we had the quiz. That is why we have the live chat, which is like the little chat bubble that you see pop up. That is Catherine at the other end answering every single one of those. We don't outsource
Not
that.
every,
Some
I do
places
have some help. I do have some help, and Lauren and Matt will let me take a lunch break
that's
and they'll answer.
well,
for me.
sometimes it's us, yeah. Sometimes it's us instead. Um, or Catherine's best friend. Sometimes she's the one answering because
She's
she has been
helping.
with us since the very beginning at Semaine, so she knows everything. If it's a medical question, obviously we talk about talking to your doctor, but we give you all of the information you need to answer those questions with your doctor. But the quiz, yes, that's perfect because it sort of goes through like what are your pain points, what is your age range, what have you experienced or have experienced in the past. Like it really helps you hone in on what your major pain points are, and that's how we want to help people sort of decide. We get a lot of questions about like, can I take the daily with my other supplements? Can I take the daily with the menopause support? We get a lot of questions like that as well. And we just want to help people at the very beginning to know like, these are the ways you can combine the supplements. This is the supplement that would really work super well for you right now. So the quiz was super, super duper important for us. And speaking of the website, we're actually getting ready to do a big update on it to make it even easier to use and hopefully easier to save money because we know everybody wants to save money and our supplements are not crazy expensive, like the super highbrow sort of Gwyneth Paltrow supplements, but we're also not the cheapest of the cheap. And we want to make them as accessible to people as possible. So we have lots of ways that you can save, either bundling them together. Like we said, the period PMS and period support and the daily are great together. You can save money when you bundle things together, or you can buy more than one jar. So let's say you love the PMS and period support, get 3 jars for your next 3 months, and then you can save way more than if you're buying 1 jar for each time every 3 months. So that's really what our goal is, to make health and these pain points accessible for people to be able to help themselves, and not make it just like a super privileged wellness brand, but something that everybody or nearly everybody can at least give a try and see if it helps them.
I love that. And I got to sneak another question in real quick because, okay, I know that the PMS support is at Target, but are there plans to get more into stores and things? Okay.
Yes, we are trying so hard. So as a small brand, retail can be really big and scary. It is a whole nother
because
business
it is
topic.
because it is big and scary,
It is
Lauren.
big and scary. That is true. That is
It's
true.
big and
So-
scary for everyone.
It's super big and scary. And so yeah, it's something we're trying to do because that exactly, Kelly, we're trying to make it as accessible as possible. A lot of people don't want to shop for them online, or if they're at Target, or we're also at Walgreens with our PMS and period support. Right now we're in, this is just for your Texas listeners, we're at HEB, which is like the most popular grocery chain in Texas. All of our supplements are there. We love them. And we're working on some other big retailers for 2024. So it's kind of like a fascinating process. It takes about a year of pitching and conversations and meetings.
And negotiations.
And negotiations to try to get on shelf. It costs a lot of money. Like it's sort of crazy. You pay a lot of money to get on shelf, to do the promotions whenever you see any couponing anywhere. So as a small business, it is always challenging. It's why a lot of brands sort of stay just online for a long while. But it was really important for us to go into retail early because we had retailers interested, which is great because I think that means women's health was important to them. But also just because we want people to be able to find us wherever they're shopping. And right now we are in sort of the fem care aisle. So you would look for us by the pads and tampons, but we're looking to expand in some other areas where we would be in the supplement aisle. So I will say just stay tuned for spring of 2024.
And if anybody has a Thrive Market membership, we're also on Thrive Market. Not quite walking into the store, but still, if you already have that membership, you can get us there as well.
That's incredible. And then, okay, last other squeeze in is, can you share any insights or like anything that's in the works? Like I know that there's probably something in the works right now. Is there anything you can share?
Okay, there's two like little teasers. Okay, one teaser is we're working on different form factors because one thing we got asked a ton, especially around the PMS and period support, which we will always have the capsules. Kelly, you and me, we will always have those. Those will go nowhere. But we get questions about gummies all the time. And we are not, I have never taken a ton of gummies because I was like, it's got to be healthier to take the capsules. But that wasn't, again, this is sort of like an accessibility thing. There's like a lot of people don't want to swallow capsules. And when either they're younger or they can't, as you get older, the motility in your throat makes it harder to swallow capsules too. So we've gotten asked on sort of both ends of the spectrum, whether they're teenagers, moms shopping for their teenagers, or for older patients. They're like, I need a gummy because I really don't want to be swallowing a pill. So we are exploring that. And then the second thing to tease for 2024 is we're looking more into healthy aging. So there's different aspects that we're trying to target along with that sort of go hand in hand with menopause just because you're aging and getting older. And it's interesting because Matt's background is actually in anti-aging at a cellular level, not like skincare, but like your cells and how they age. And so we're interested in tying to that because we especially get all of those questions as you age into menopause and beyond, like what you can do for your health.
Oh my gosh. Ladies, get your shopping carts ready.
That's right.
They're in all the things. You're gonna be fully stocked for everything that you need as a woman. Oh my goodness, this has been so incredible. Thank you both for being here with me today. What you're doing is, there's not enough words to describe it, but just, I guess the first thing I have to say is just thank you for what you're doing for us as women and those who identify as women, because this is truly life-changing. The supplements that you're creating, it's been life-changing for me and so many other people who I see, that are writing reviews on your website, and for the people that I've recommended it to, and they're like, oh my God, like, where was this all my life? And I mean, just thank you for what the two of you are doing. And Matt, we can't leave him out.
And that.
Yes. I mean,
Oh, thank you, Kelly.
yeah, paving the path for
Thank you.
hopefully so many other people will follow in your footsteps, but I mean, you're leading the charge. So I just thank you.
Oh, thanks so much for having us, Kelly. And thanks for letting us ramble on. We could obviously just talk about women's health and supplements forever and ever. And
also, thank you for being a customer, and anybody listening, like, for being a customer. Honestly, it's our customers that keep us going, because otherwise we would just be like shouting into a void, like, be healthy, love your body.
Listen. Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for letting us have this platform to explain all those things and just talk ad nauseum. And I hope help educate and empower a little bit. That's always the goal. And we can't do that without you. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. And as we wrap up, if you wouldn't mind, it'll all be in the show notes. But if you want to just share real quick how they can connect with you on social media as well as the website, that would be awesome. And then I'll have all of it in the show notes.
Oh, perfect. Yes. So you can find us at semainehealth.com. Semaine is Semaine. It means week in French, as in WEEK, Monday through Sunday. And we named it that. I always forget to tell people that we named it that because our cyclical nature, as women, cyclical nature, our hormones are changing day to day, week to week, month to month. And so you can find us at semainehealth.com, at Semaine Health on Instagram. We're also on TikTok, Semaine_health. Those are kind of like our main channels. Like Cath said, you can find us on Thrive Market, at Amazon. We're in a lot of places, and we're the ones behind the website. So go ahead and DM us. You can chat with us. Please. You can email us. Yes. We love responding and answering questions.
Become BFFs with Cath and Lar.
Exactly. Yes. We love that.
Join the club. I love it. Well, thank you both so much. This was incredible. I just so appreciate what you're doing, and keep doing it. And I can't wait to see what's coming. It's just phenomenal.
Thanks,
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Yes.